Versace, she want Gucci. Gotta lay down all my bands on the Lambo, cause she don't like my Volvo, no, no. Yeah, she got a diamond grill on her baby teeth. Coolest kid in nursery, but you know, I'm not a materialist, an idealist. I flow with the transcendental argument. Reading Wittgenstein, investigate my girl philosophically. Yeah, do you know what I'm saying? I just want the money.
Hey Piggy, just give me one more super chat. Hey Piggy, just give me one more super chance. Hey Piggy, just give me one more super chance. Hey Piggy,
yeah,
just give me one.
yeah,
Ooh.
straight up, I'm simple for you, girl. I want my heart, want you in my world. I see you in the super chat, I see you wanna go from me. I see you on the OnlyFans and you got my heart in your hand. Please don't crush it, girl, understand that I'm a simp, but I'm proud. I'm a geek, but I'm proud. And I wanna feel your breath at a convention. I want my picture of you groping my ass to be on social media. I want my friends to see it on Discord. I'm gonna upload it to my subreddit and they all gonna see it. My friends, they gonna like it, they gonna retweet it. But I feel that it's gonna be the greatest moment of my life, and I want you to be a part of it, girl, yeah.
Don't make me go back to that 9 to 5. Wage clock ain't no way to be alive. Don't make me go back to 9 to 5. Wage clock ain't no way to be alive. Ooh, hey Piggy, just give me one more super chat. Hey Piggy, just give me one more super chance. Hey Piggy, just give me one more super chance. Hey Piggy, just give me one. Ooh, hey Piggy, just give me one more super chat. Hey Piggy, just give me one more super chance. Hey Piggy, just give me one more super chance. Hey Piggy, just give me one. Ooh.
I can't hear ya. Let me hear you say it. Let me hear you say fuck Klaus Schwab. Fuck Klaus Schwab. Let me hear you say fuck Klaus Schwab. Yeah.
Hey Piggy, hey Piggy, don't make me go back to that 9 to 5. Wage clock ain't no way to be alive. Don't make me go back to 9 to 5. Wage clock ain't no way to be alive. Ooh, hey Piggy, just give me one more super chat. Hey Piggy, just give me one more super chance. Hey Piggy, just give me one more super chance. Hey Piggy, just give me one. Ooh.
When I'm with my boo, 1 and 1 miss 2, then it mix free. Yeah, we had the baby. She want Versace, she want Gucci. Gotta lay down all my bands on the Lambo, cause she don't like my Volvo, no, no. Yeah, she got a diamond grill on her baby teeth. Coolest kid in nursery, but you know, I'm not a materialist, an idealist. I flow with the transcendental argument. Reading Wittgenstein, investigate my girl philosophically. Yeah, do you know what I'm saying? I just want the money.
Hey Piggy, just give me one more super chat. Hey Piggy, just give me one more super chance. Hey Piggy, just give me one more super chance. Hey Piggy,
Yeah,
just give me one.
yeah,
Ooh.
straight up, I'm simple for you, girl. I want my heart, want you in my world. I see you in the super chat, I see you wanna go from me. I see you on the OnlyFans and you got my heart in your hand. Please don't crush it, girl. Understand that I'm a simp, but I'm proud. I'm a geek, but I'm proud. And I want to feel your breath at a convention. I want my picture of you groping my ass to be on social media.
Shonak on the beat.
Girl, why you backbiting, whispering, DMing, and talking, texting? I don't like that. It hurts my feelings.
Girl, you always out there just straight gossiping. Why you wanna do it when I got you bling? Girl, you just out there just straight up gossiping. Always out there in the streets just gossiping. Texting, doing nasty things. All you wanna do is just straight gossiping. Girl, why you wanna gossip? I took you on that trip. I gave you all that stuff, all that junk. And you just wanna gossip. Hurt my feelings, girl. Why you wanna do that to me? When I got you all those things, got you all those things, got you all the things. Gossiping. Why you wanna hurt me with your gossiping? Backbiting ain't nothing to all of me. Backbite, DM, and texting. Why you wanna do that to me? Gossiping. Telling my friends I got a little bitty thing. Gossiping, whispering, and backbiting going pss, 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 pss. Rumors going crazy. It's like a fractal of rumors all around. Now the streets talk me down. They make fun of me because of you, girl. Please delete and remove all the texts that you sent out. I don't care to who. Just delete all of those bad feelings, girl. Gossiping. Why you wanna be just straight up gossiping? Sending nasty text to my damn mama. Even Granny thinks that I'm a loser now. Girl, why you wanna do that? It's just mean, straight up spiteful, gross. And it's also hurtful too. It's called gossiping. Perhaps if you looked it up, you would know it's wrong. Gossiping. Why you wanna do that straight up gossiping? Girl, tag with me. Why you wanna tag all your girlfriends too? Tell them in a mass text that I love gossiping.
Shonak on the beat.
Girl, why you backbiting, whispering, DMing, and talking, texting? I don't like that. It hurts my feelings.
Girl, you always out there just straight gossiping. Why you wanna do it when I got you bling? Girl, you just out there just straight up gossiping. Always out there in the streets just gossiping. Texting, doing nasty things. All you wanna do is just straight gossiping. Girl, why you wanna gossip? I took you on that trip. I gave you all that stuff, all that junk. And you just wanna gossip. Hurt my feelings, girl. Why you wanna do that to me? When I got you all those things, got you.
That's Big E energy, baby. Big E energy, baby. But did you know about Funko Pop? Somebody already remixed that. We got a dang hit record on the way, I'm telling you already.
You up, Funko. Pop you up, my Funko. Pop you up, Funko. Pop you up, my Funko. Pop you up, Funko. Pop you up, my Funko. Pop you up, Funko. Pop you up, I'm on Funko. Pop you up. What's that? Pop you up, I'm on Funko. Pop you up. What's that?
Keep going.
Funko, pop you up, my Funko. Pop you up, Funko.
Can y'all hear that, hopefully?
Pop you up, my Funko.
If you can't, I look like an idiot.
Funko.
but I look like an idiot anyway.
Pop you up, motherfucker. Pop you up. Funk. Pop you up, motherfucker.
Go pop you up.
Pop you up. I'm on the phone. Go pop you up. What's that?
What's happening?
Pop you up. I'm on the phone. Go pop you up. What's that?
Keep going.
Keep going. Keep going. Curtis Blow. Keep going.
Pop you up, motherfucker. Go pop you up.
That's the Funko Pop.
Pop you up, motherfucker.
Imagine this live, baby.
Pop you up, motherfucker. Go pop you up. Pop you up, motherfucker. Go pop you up.
That's the Funko Pop.
Pop you up. I'm on the phone. Go pop you up. What's that? Pop you up. I'm on the phone. Go pop you up. What's that?
Keep going.
Keep going. Yeah, baby. What's up? How y'all doing tonight? Fun. Keeping it real. Keeping it popping. What's popping? Popping. What's popping? How about Elvis covers?
Chicken
Tenders, chicken strips, never without love.
chips. Chewbacca knuckles. Chewbacca juice. Bring them before me. Spread out goblets, plates and feast. Never without love. Pop you up, motherfucker. Pop you up.
Okay. Welcome everybody. Yes, we're being silly, but we're being sillious. Sillious. Now, do not get the wrong impression about the event. This is not me purely doing cringecore. We all know I'm a master of the arts of cringecore in various ways, including now many hit singles and a coming. I guess we'll put this on Bandcamp or something, but put an EP out or something, right? But it's not just music. We also are a master of cringecore impressions. And so guess what? At this coming event, you will have exposure to all of these things. You see, I have to please everybody in the prospective audience, hit every market niche. Bap. Bruh. Me gonna hit every market niche, man. Every market niche is racist. Bruh. Hit them all. So we gotta placate the boomers, right? They want the serious material. They want that hardcore, serious, hard-hitting, practical material. That will come later in the evening. This is a day with your boy right here. So it's an event where you spend a day with your boy. An evening with Dyer. So there's going to be plenty of time for open questions, plenty of time for Q&A. So again, the first hour, we got some surprises. There's going to be some music. I wonder whose EP we might be playing at the first hour at this event. I wonder who, baby. There's going to be music. There's going to be a special mystery figure who will be debating. There will be a series of voices coming in from the ether. Maybe you'd like to know some of the surprise voices who will be making an appearance. We got celebrities going to make an appearance through the ether at this event. And again, keep in mind, it's not purely cringe comedy event. It's going to be a lot of things. We're going to be there from 4 p.m. until 10 p.m. So we got 6 hours. Yeah, we'll probably have to take a break for dinner because a lot of y'all are going to get fussy, going to get hangry. Gonna get bubble guts, gonna be crying. I'm hungry. I need some Chewbacca knuckles from the McDonald's. Give me the McDonald's. Okay, we'll go to McDonald's and order a 24-piece Chewbacca knuckles, baby. Go ahead. But we got a few surprise guests gonna pop up. There might be some famous gurus calling in. We might have Nicolas Cage calling in. We might have Alex Jones calling in. We might have Lando Calrissian. We might have Woody Allen. We might have Matthew McConaughey. We might have your boy Chuck Manson calling in from the ether sphere, from beyond the grave. We might have Bill Cosby calling in. We may have a Quentin Tarantino calling in. David Lynch, Maxine Waters, Alexander Dugan, Jordan Peterson, Slavoj Zizek, Pastor John Hagee. We might have Tristan as Elmo calling in. We might have Alan Watt. We might have David Icke. I mean, it will be a star-studded festival. That's just touching. That's just touching the outer rim of the full cornucopia planned for you all at this event. Do you understand that? So we're talking music venue. We're talking hit EP, multiple #1 Billboard hit singles from me. We're talking multiple famous people calling directly in. Calling. Right? And then, because a lot of sour pusses, a lot of sour lemon face, sour pusses, don't want none of that. I don't want none of that. Get that out of here. Well, for you, there's a next hour. So guess what happens after the craziness, right? We got an hour of craziness planned. Then we got an hour of Jamie. What? Straight up Jamie. Jamie going to make a presentation for 45. 45. Cold 45 looks every time. 45. Cold 45 Jamie herself with Billy D. Williams up on stage making a presentation. Can you believe that too? And it's a surprise. She's going to make a presentation. I'm not going to tell you what, but it's going to be good. Jamie has presentations I've seen. She's good at her talks and presentations. So she will be there. She just added to the venue hit list. She's one of the many e-celebs that will be present at the event. As we said, amongst this stellar champagne supernova of stars that I listed a minute ago, and many others I haven't even listed. All right, so that's the first 2 hours, right? First hour, hit singles, maybe some live music performances by the biggest rap star in the world now right here. Then we have mystery debate with an unknown mystery guest debater. Then we have Jamie coming on to do her presentation. 45 talk Q&A for a little bit. We'll probably have to break for some food because y'all be over there crying. I need my chicken nugget. I need my biscuits. I need my biscuit. I need my honey buns. Everybody's crying. I'm crying for honey buns. It's not my job to feed you honey buns at the event. You got to bring your own honey buns. I'm not bringing in somebody said, bring in the honey bun truck. There's food trucks, dude. Bring in a hostess food truck. Not bringing a hostess food truck in for y'all. Not doing that. So then after we eat, wherever we eat, by the way, there's too many people. Hopefully enough people will come that I won't be able to plan for a meal for y'all. Right. But if nobody comes, I'm not joking. It's not nobody. But if we don't get as many people as expected, then the event will be easier for us to all maybe go to the same place to eat. We'll just see. It'll all depend on how many people come, which I have no idea. My first event, we had meetups, right? So let's see. We did, we did a meetup back in 2018. I think it was the first meetup in Austin. We had a great crowd. We had about 50 or 60 people at the first meetup, 2018. And that was fun. We had Hasher and Spore out there. We had the Boiler Room crew out there. It was a lot of fun. Throughout the day, I think we had about 50 or 60 people total. And that was the audience was like 1/3 of what it is now back then. So, I'm hoping, and we promoted that for like a week, right? So I'm hoping that if we promote for a month, basically almost a month, then what we could do is, try to get a bigger crowd. I booked a nice venue. It is not the address. Well, it is the address of the venue, which people ask, what is this? What is this? This looks like a dang antique store. It's not an antique store, dude. You think I'm going to book an antique store? I'm going to be over there, over in the VHS section of the Peddler's Mall, trying to hawk a bunch of VHSs. Actually, that sounds like that doesn't sound bad. That actually sounds like an awesome venue. Hey, I'll be playing the Peddler's Mall this weekend in the VHS section. Look for me over by the Con Air VHS used section. By the way, I might bring some Con Airs, and you might win those as a prize. So I've had people do. So we've done a lot of meetups. Like I said, we've done probably 5-6 meetups. And people bring the craziest stuff to get autographed, which is fine with me. I think it's funny. People bring their copies of Tragedy and Hope. Be like, hey, autograph this. Like, all right. Okay. We have people bring in stacks of VHS. So I've autographed David Lynch movies. I've autographed Nicolas Cage movies, which is funny because it's like you're getting me to autograph the Nicolas Cage VHS. What dream world of CERN's alternate dimensions am I living in, where I autographed Nicolas Cage VHS movies? I mean, this is an awesome timeline. All right, do not turn that damn CERN on, because I'm enjoying this timeline. You hear me, CERN? Do not turn on CERN. When was that? Or was it already turned on? Because this is a fun timeline. What else? So no, it's a really cool venue. I have a picture. I'll show you guys a picture here. It's like a redone. So the antique store is not. It's an event. It's an event venue now. It's not an antique store. Yo, I'm playing over there in the. I'll be playing over in the section with country, the country living section, where it just has the words written on pieces of board. Where it says eat, pray, love, live, laugh, love. I'm be playing in the live, eat, pray, love section at the Pillars Mall. No, here you go. You can see an event at this event, and you see it's a pretty decent looking event. I'll show you this picture here if you can see it. So this looks like basically I share this event with a bunch of evangelical goofuses. So here you can see the event there. And it holds a big crowd, right? They've also like redone this whole cool place, right? So it's got like some cool, smooth, you look like you want to sit over here and just order $100 sushi over here, right? But there's no sushi at this event. Don't expect to be sitting in this hip section and ordering sushi, because you have to bring your own honey buns or something. We'll call this the honey bun corner right there, but there will not be honey buns provided. BYOHB, bring your own honey buns, baby. Right, so it's a renovated venue. See all that? Look, they got green. They got the green over there. They got a little bit of yellow. Got some black over here. They got a little red. So if you're a fan of colors, if you're on the spectrum, color spectrum, the spectrum, then you're gonna like this venue. It's got it all. It's basically got Roy G. Biv, right? Guest starring Roy G. Biv in this event. What else? All right, so we said, so for first hour comedy, pseudo comedy. Next hour, Jamie's presentation. And by the way, the first hour, you don't even know what that means. What does that even comedy? What? You don't know if I'm gonna throw you for a loop. You don't know what surprise guests are gonna show. You don't even know, right? So that's part of the mystique. And by the way, shout out to Sam Tripoli. He's the one that was really saying, this is, dude, do a live event, dude. He was the one pushing to do a live event. I said, man, you're brilliant. Why didn't I think of this? But then I didn't realize, by the way, how hard it is to actually schedule a live event. It's dude, now I see why there's a job called I'm an event planner. I thought that was a made up event planner. What? So you decide to do a thing and then you just do it? That's like a job to do that. No, it does take a job to do that. All right. It took me a freaking week to find this venue. And you think, well, Nashville got a zillion venues, right? We're going to get into the book here in a minute, guys. Don't worry. And by the way, I'm not giving my presentation to you guys tonight. So the presentation is not anything that anybody's heard. So the book should be here in the next couple of days. Somebody said they already got the book. And I'm like, how do you get the book before me? Somebody in the UK said, I've already got your book. I've got your book. It arrived 2 days ago. It arrived 2 days. What? How can you? John Lennon, I got your book, mate. I got your book, mate. It arrived 2 days ago, mate. How did you get my book before me? That didn't make any sense. But hey, we're in the crazy CERN timeline where I sign autographs on VHS copies of Nick Cage movies. So that's where we are. And that's what I'm okay with that. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. And I'm okay with that. Do. I'm okay with that. That's not the next song. We do have some new fun songs in the mix, in the making. Got a emotional Brit man soy pop song that I'm working on. An emotional Brit pop song. In the vein of frickin' Depeche Mode. So we got a little bit of a Brit pop Depeche Mode inspired cringe song on the way. I'm gonna do a country song because I got a good country voice, a good fake country voice. So those are coming on the way. I might just premiere those new songs at the event. I don't know how we're gonna do it, but it'll be fun. Anyway, so after the first hour, Jamie does present. Then we go eat for however long it takes y'all. That gives people, right, the time to come to what they want, right? So some people, I don't want to see your cringe comedy. I hate when you do songs. I hate when you act like, I hate it. Hate you when you do that. I love you when you talk about this nerdy stuff. Boy, I hate you when you talk about you acting a fool. I hate you. I want to rip you to pieces. I hate you. That's fine. I can accept that. And you hate me when I'm doing that, then just come later in the day. It'll be, as the evening gets darker, it gets more serious. So that's like an inversion. Usually it's serious and then things get crazy at night. We're doing it backwards. Don't ask me why. That's just what we thought to do. So we come back from food. Then I will do a presentation on the new book, new material, explaining, getting deep into it. Hour and a half, maybe, depending on time. Then we'll have open forum. Now, you don't have to this book has a lot of topics in it, so you don't have to just talk to me about the book. So if you're a Protestant and you want to come make arguments with me, you could do it, baby, in my face. Just come get in my face, it's okay. If you're a Catholic, you want to come to this event and debate, you want to hash it out, go ahead. Bring it on, baby. Come on out. You got to be civil, though. By the way, we will have security there, right? Too many crazy creeps out there. Crazy creepazoids that, yes, I have hired security for the event. I'm not joking either. So this venue is, as you saw, fairly fixed up and fancy. They do have surveillance inside and outside. So anybody trying to do something, you're going to be on camera. And I have hired security people. So that's to keep the crazies out. Crazies will be booted by big bouncer men. Big bouncer man. Boot them crazies, big bouncer man. So I'll give a talk on the book. We'll open it up to Q&A and AMA, right? So anything you want to talk about theologically, transcendental arguments, philosophically, anything about the book you want to talk about, geopolitics even, film, biblical theology, whatever you guys want to talk about, it will be open forum for the rest of the evening, and then we'll have book signing, which shouldn't take too long. They're probably, if people want to buy the book early on and leave, you can do that as well if you don't want to stay for the whole thing. Because usually when we have these kinds of events, people don't stay for the whole thing. So they want to come for, I want to come for this. I just want to get your autograph and then I'm out of here, dude. Because I like your book, but I can't handle your voice. When you talk, it makes me want to puke. But thank you for your book. Now please sign it. Right? So you get them kind of people. Right? And then you know, them kind of people are welcome too. If you want to, you can't, you know, my voice makes you vomit, but you still want an autograph? Okay, I'll do it. Somebody said you need somebody talking about a name for the tour. Are you going to be doing a tour? This would be called the I'm Not Trying to Be Mean Dude tour. Doesn't that sound like I'm not a stand-up. I'm not doing stand-up. This will be just a weird, wacky event. Everybody knows my style, hopefully. Right? So don't expect me to be strong. Oh, welcome everybody. Welcome out tonight. You know, my girlfriend, she just left me and ha ha ha. No, I'm not, I don't do that. Right? Not doing stand-up. This is a wacky, wild, I don't know what to call it. Something else. Performance art variety event. I don't know what we call it, but it's not going to be boring old stand-up. What's the deal with airplane food? What else? Yeah, so event ends at 10 o'clock. So plenty of time, I think, for people to chill, have long conversations, debates, arguments, whatever you guys want to do, right? Because, you know, at the previous events, what I've seen is that most of the time people are happy to see the event, but they also want to just chill and chat, and I'm cool with that. So, you know, it's an evening with Dyer. Evening with Dyer. Power-packed, fun evening. So I think it'll be fun. And we were trying to talk to some other. We met. We got in contact with a couple other prominent people who we didn't know were in the Nashville area. So I'll let you guys know. This is not the list of people that I told you, but an actual Nashville person that might be able to be involved. I don't know. We're checking on that. So if he's able to show up, you know, that'll be some more big guns, firepower, baby. But it's going to be goofy. It's going to be fun, and it's going to be serious. All you sourpusses out there, okay? You're going to get your fill, I promise. Okay? You're going to get your nerdy fill, nerdgasm. You're going to get all of that. You're going to get the serious stuff. You're going to get the jokey. It's all of it, man. Dang, it's all of it. Jeez. So if you guys want to make your way to the event, it is up. Here is the link. Go ahead and make the reservations if you can. By the way, tell your friends, right? Other people want to come. You all the time. People, could I bring somebody? Yeah, buy them a ticket. Bring whoever you want within reason. Okay, don't bring Gil Bates out there. I want to have a debate with you. No, don't bring him. Right? Don't bring people that hate everything I do. Don't bring them. Right? So they're not welcome. But pretty much everybody else can come, right? So, where's the freaking... There we go. So here is the Eventbrite link right there. It's also in the show description if you want to come. You can make your way over to Eventbrite, reserve your seats. Now, this is North Nashville, so it's a little bit outside of the big downtown area because, trust me, when I was looking into this, there was a place in downtown Nashville that I could have got. It's a venue that had everything except for one thing that I wanted as part of the event. But it's a nightmare to try to, if it ends up being quite a few people, it's a nightmare to park there. And if we try to leave to go eat, I mean, it'd be a nightmare, right? It'll never happen. It'll take us 2-3 hours to find food. So a little bit outside of Nashville is a little bit better, right? And you do have access to Nashville if you stay, if it's North Nashville, here's Nashville. If you stay somewhere in between, you got an easy 5 minutes, 10 minutes to the city. If you want to visit, check out stuff, hang out, do things, you can do that. And then you're just, 5-10 minutes north up to the venue, which is not an antique store. Okay. Dude's playing an antique store. Is your grandma coming to the antique store? Now it makes me want to play an antique store. That actually sounds like an awesome venue for a performance art piece. You do like a satire. I'm satirizing consumerism by doing my performance art in the local peddler's mall. Right? Be like a just pretentious, insufferable douchebag millennial artist who's doing his performance art at the local antique mall. That sounds awesome, actually. Anyway, but no, we're not doing that. It's a fancy venue, as you saw. And it's hard to find a venue. I mean, I called up some hotels, and they were like, yes, we will host your show, but the hotel will charge you $3,000. $3,000 for a freaking hotel convention room? What? Give me a break, dude. What? Hotel be crazy, dude. Hotels be crazy. But nope. We will host your event for only $6,000. What? 6,000. One of them was $6,000. I'm like, what? That's more than I would make at an event. Are you serious? They were like, we will cater the event with fancy foods. I'm like, nah, my audience don't need no fancy food. They eat honey buns, dude. I was like, do you cater with Chewbacca knuckles and honey buns and Purple Saurus Rex, maybe? No. All right, I'm out. Anyway, but hey, it's going to be fun. It will. I guarantee you that you will find it to be, like nothing else. I mean, that's really what I want to put. I've been wanting to do a live event for a long time, beyond just a book meetup. Those are fun. They're a little more intimate, but this is going to be fun. I mean, this is going to be like, I don't know, a dang variety show. I don't know what else to say. Just a freaking mentally ill variety show. How's that? Okay, so a couple other things I want to mention. So shout out to, I don't know who's, so quite often we just get things in the mail, like that gigantic icon that somebody just awesomely sent. I have no idea who it was. It was a great gift, much appreciated. We get so many great gifts from people. I don't know if the monastery sent us this or if a person sent us this, but I'm really thankful to whoever decided to send us 2 copies of this brand new big Orthodox, really fancy schnazzy hardback prayer guide, prayer rule. So it's basically just Orthodox prayers in a gigantic book for me and Jamie. Really high quality paper, nice, from Jordanville. So wow, awesome. These are, I don't know how much these are, but if you guys want to get these, head on over to Jordanville Monastery, hit up their website, and you guys can find this newly released and printed. This is the kind of swag I get, right? Back in the day, I would get all kinds of, when I was a diva, I would get that Kardashian style stuff. You know what I'm saying? I would get butt pads. I would get makeups. I would get nails and lashes. Sometimes nails with lashes. Sometimes with lashes. Who knows? I would get all that stuff when I was a diva. But nowadays, it's much better to get this kind of quality material as swag, you see. Just free swag just coming in the mail. And wouldn't you rather have this as swag than them Kardashian butt pads? Of course. So thank you. Shout out to whoever sent that. Just awesome gifts, man. And I still don't know who sent the gigantic icons, but man, thank you so much. Those have to be hundreds of dollars. Somebody sent like $1,000 worth of icons. Crazy, but awesome. And then I got some kind of fancy catalog in the mail with a bunch of all kind of stuff. I don't know, just getting that swag in the mail. Mail swag. All right, so hopefully you guys would like to make it to the event. Okay, does that sound fun? Right. All right, I'm gonna shut up about the event and get into the book, because the book is kind of the purpose of the event, right? Kind of, it's like the climax of the event is the book, and we need to get into what's in this book, why I wrote it, give you guys a good picture of it. Some people have already probably read it. The British dude, I've already got your book, mate. How? I don't have the book. What are you talking about? Maybe he's just messing with me. The British people, man, that perfidious Albion and their shifty ways. Oh, that's right, we got to fool him, mate. Let's tell him that we got his book. And he'll go wibby wobble in his fibby fobbles. Look at him, he's going wibby wobble in all of his fibby fobbles. He thinks we've got his book. We've driven him mad, late. We've driven him mad. Fibby fobbles and my fibby fobbles. Motorised rolling him. He's gonna go and wreck in his motorised rolling him. Thank you guys for those super chats. Everybody's being super cool tonight. Because I'm feeling E energy. I'm going to have to take these off though because I can't see with them things on. Dang. Now my eyes are sweating. Whew. I'm not joking. My eyes are sweating, dude. I'm just crying. If you would hit like and share, welcome everybody. We are going to be talking about some actual things tonight. It's not just pure nonsense, but you know, sometimes nothing wrong with pure nonsense. Sometimes I like to just be pure nonsense. But some people can handle that, right? When I put up that flyer, I'm not joking, right? The flyer for by the way, Tristan made some beautiful Tristana, shout out, made some wonderful flyers. I mean, I'm going to be rolling these out in a succession, but he did great. I mean, this one is awesome. I mean, look at that, dude. See this? You got your Funko Pops in the background. You got your Hollywood element. You got Hollywood Funko Pops. I mean, he did great. You got your side hustle Ty Lopez toy car, right? You got your Ty Lopez side hustle internet entrepreneur right there, glowing in pink. Now Tristan put this on there. He didn't have any pink glow around. I said, dude, where's the pink glow? He said, I don't like it with the pink glow. I said, what? Dude, I don't want just pink glow. I want double pink glow. Right? And then I added this text where it looks like the text is running away. Right? It's fast text. Because of the fast car. Even though actually that in the actual picture that's a toy car. And so when I put this up, I'm not joking, somebody messaged me and said, how dare you plan your event with a gaudy, ostentatious, vain flyer? And I'm like, dude, are you mentally unstable? That's what I asked. I'm not joking. I said that. You can't tell that is a joke? You think that's serious? What is wrong with people? What in the world? If you can't tell that that's a joke, please do not come to the event. Okay, so we don't want crazy people at the event. It was why we got private security at the event. Okay, no crazies allowed. But, you know, clearly that is a joke. Hopefully y'all can see that. Now, Tristan made some other flyers too that are just as badass that I will roll out later. And, you know, this flyer gives the impression, oh, I'm not going to that. That's a ridiculous event. Well, it's not just ridiculous. That's just one flyer that we thought was funny. I mean, I think that flyer that's the best. That's the greatest flyer ever in the world, ever. But I'll make some serious flyers too for them low flying slow boys who can't handle jokes. Right. So I will please you people as well with a serious, studious flyer. I'll put some nerd glasses on and I'll have a bunch of books. And then you can be convinced that it's a serious. I only attend serious events. I would never be caught dead at such a ridiculous event. Right? About the mind of Christ being the bridge between the created and the uncreated. I can't play that or the freaking thing will get... I'll get zapped by the thingamajig. You know what I mean? So I was trying to play some more songs because there's a bunch of good songs on here, but Sadgurus. We might even have some gurus showing up. Who knows, dude? Who knows? But it might even turn into like a rave. I'm just joking. It's not going to turn into a rave. All right. So what is this new book? Well, so, you know, as you guys know, I'd written so many essays over the period of my 20s and 30s that I wasn't really sure what to do with them. And a lot of them went up and they were just kind of like good papers and essays, but they were just kind of like, I don't know, just sort of writing what you feel at the moment. And I think it takes a long time to where you write stuff and you have a wide catalog of things that you've written on, and you're able to speak on multiple subjects and topics with, reasonable fluidity. So I think that we have achieved that over here in our space. I've achieved a decent amount of being fluent and fluid in multiple topics, not claiming to be an expert in any of the topics per se. I think there's a couple areas where I have a degree of expertise, but who even knows? How do you even classify, what an expert status is? I don't even know, but, whatever. So I thought, well, what do we want to talk about first is just an introduction to philosophy, because so many people had said over the years, where do I start with philosophy? And the thing with philosophy is that there's not an easy one book introduction. There's some books that you can find that are decent at introducing, what philosophy is interested in, what the ideas are, but they're usually so kind of restricted that they're just not the best for that, right? Like, well, maybe somebody's interested in epistemology, right? And in an introduction to philosophy book, you're not going to get much of that. A lot of modern philosophy disregards metaphysics, and a big part of philosophy in the ancient medieval world is the crucial, that's like the most important thing, right? Modern philosophy, as you guys know, switches that, and then it begins to hinge on epistemology. So the questions change. In the modern world, after Descartes and after the Enlightenment, philosophy shifts. So when people say, how do I get started with philosophy? And by the way, this is not just a philosophy book, right? It deals with a lot of things, as we'll see. Well, we have to be reintroduced to the idea of metaphysics because it's so crucial to all the stuff that we talk about, right? If you would hit like and share, everybody. I may have titled this. It may not have been the best title for this tonight. Like, usually we get more people live, but maybe they think meta narratives is about metaverse or something. I don't know, but I might have to change the title and make it something more like Introduction to Philosophy. Or how about the Philosophy of Absurdity? Ooh, I could do a PhD on that. I have expertise in absurdity. How's that? I'm an expert absurdist. Anyway, so I wanted to reintroduce, to begin with, what ancient and medieval philosophy was in love with and what they saw as the essence of philosophy. Now, certainly ancient and medieval philosophy did talk about epistemology, the idea of how we know, what do we know, what constitutes knowledge, what constitutes opinion, belief, etc. And certainly ancient medieval philosophers talked about other niches that would become more prominent in the modern world, right? So they did talk about linguistic philosophy. They did talk about natural philosophy, or the science of nature. They did talk about ethics, obviously. They did talk about things that modern philosophers do still talk about, but the emphasis flipped, the emphasis shifted. And the other thing that is different from now to then is the importance of the ancient and medieval philosophers seeing it as an integrated whole, right? The idea of a worldview functioning as kind of a holistic thing, not a piecemeal thing, not separate, disparate things that don't relate to one another, right? But as you know, as we always promote, epistemology, metaphysics, and ethics all sort of go together, interconnect, interrelate, and necessitate one another, right? To say that you know something assumes that you know something existing or not. To say that something is good immediately involves you in a value judgment, and to talk about the good versus the not good or the evil or whatever, the bad, is a metaphysical as well as an ethical idea at the same time. And so aesthetics is a good way to look at the overlap and the necessary correlation between the domains of philosophy and how they can't be divorced, divided, and separated. They can be distinguished, but not ultimately separated. And a lot of modern philosophy and philosophers and bad arguments and goofballs, goobers that you've seen and heard so many times on the live streams and in the debates and in the open forums and the Twitter spaces, is the mistaken idea that, postmodernism, ethical nihilism, Nietzschean nihilism, relativism, on and on and on, all these different positions that think or act like you can divorce these domains and, I can have a position about objective truth, but it has nothing to do with normative statements, nothing to do with value judgments. Just total pure baloney. So we kind of kick off the work. And by the way, this has been completely revamped. Okay, I paid a lot of money for people to go through, and I paid some high price editors. So this should be, it should be fresh, is what I'm trying to say. So we get into talking about what metaphysics is, why it matters, what you just heard me say, and then we get into something that is unique that I haven't really seen anybody else cover, which is the symbolic elements in Homer that not a lot of people have talked about in a long time. Not a lot of people have gone deep into that. I'm gonna skip because we don't want to give away the whole book on a dang live stream, but we get into some pretty deep stuff with that, and there's reasons for that, because I wanted to talk about metaphysics. I wanted to get into the pre-philosophical period of the myths, right? Because the Iliad, the Odyssey, as you guys know, that time period saw the world in more of a story fashion. And we know that the philosophers bring a rationalizing approach where they move the type of view towards a more abstracted and more rational approach rather than a story. And there's pros and cons to this. On the one hand, as biblical theology goes, we have more in common with a mythological approach as a story than we do with abstracted metaphysics and abstracted logic. However, that doesn't mean abstracted metaphysics and logic is bad. It's just a different way of describing different types of things and a different way of looking at the world. But one thing that's interesting with Plato is that even though Plato, so you basically have the Homer and the ancient myths period, and then you get the pre-Socratics asking questions that move us away from myth and story to things considered in themselves, things qua things. Asking big metaphysical questions. What is all of reality itself? Oh, it's all water. Oh, it's all flux. Oh, it's all fire. Oh, it's all particles bouncing. Okay, the different Greek pre-Socratic philosophers giving these various answers. And then we get Plato, who still sees the world in a mythological way at the same time as asking abstracted questions like the pre-Socratics before him, like the Orphic mysteries before him, like the Pythagoreans. And so we move from that to Phaedo. And Phaedo and Timaeus both have not really been covered a whole lot. Now, if you get deeper into Plato, you will cover these things, right? If you study, philosophy at a graduate level, right? But typically people don't go deep into Plato like this. And by the way, I don't claim to be a Plato expert. Okay, I'm not. I've read a lot of Plato. As you can see, here's my works of Plato. I have read it extensively. I've not read everything of Plato's. I don't read Greek, and I'm not a Greek scholar, so I'm not here claiming to be a Plato expert, but I am pulling out what I understand to be relevant, metaphysical, logical, apologetic type of arguments that are there in Plato that are relevant. So that's what we do. as we move into Plato's Phaedo, dialectics, and logos. Now, if you'll notice here, we gotta give a little bit of the arcana and the lore behind this book. You will notice here that the first 9 of my footnotes are there, and then mysteriously many of them are not. Now, you might think, look at him, he's exposed, lazy scholar, he didn't even put his footnotes. Number one, I made almost all A's in my grad classes. This, I think, was a grad paper. It may not have been, I can't remember. No, I think this one was a grad paper. Now, not all of these are grad papers, right? So you're not just reading. I didn't write that many grad papers, first of all, but this one was a grad paper on Achilles and Homer. But you'll notice what happened was when I posted this many years ago to the website, the hyperlinks, I had hyperlinks on some of these, depending upon what I was citing, what I was sourcing. And when our friends at WordPress deleted my website, many of these disappeared when I reconstructed the website. So that is the explanation. It's not a lie. I'm not making it up. I didn't cheat. I have no idea where these sources are now. I do not remember. So you're talking about stuff I wrote in my 20s and 30s. And I don't remember all of the footnotes that I wrote. If you do an undergraduate in philosophy and history, that's what I did. I was only 2 classes away from a double major in history as well. And then you do philosophy and lit in grad school, you're going to write hundreds of pages of papers. And then outside of grad work, I blogged for 10 years, writing hundreds of blog posts and essays. So I have no idea what all these footnotes are. Okay. But that is what happened. Everybody remembers when my website was removed. Just boom, gone. Thank God they did at least allow me to export the site, right, to somewhere else and to rebuild everything. This was in 2018. Remember that? It seems like yesterday, but it's been 4 years ago. And then when you reconstruct your website and you export it from that on where you lose a lot. You lose a lot of the images. You lose a lot of even some of the text and some of the articles. You lose all the links. And for whatever reason, a lot of these footnotes are just gone. So that's why it's like that. And I just kept it in there because I want that to be a testament to what they did, right? I mean, they screwed me over. And so anyway, that's the explanation for that. So everyone hopefully hears this because I know what's going to happen right away. Somebody's going to buy this book and they're going to put a review up on Amazon and it's going to say, this lazy man is exposed. He didn't source his material. He's a fake, a fraud. I guarantee it. It's just going to happen. So whatever, it's fine. I mean, there's no way I can go back and find every one of these damn footnotes from 10, 15 years ago. I mean, there's just no way, right? So you're just going to have to trust that I did get this from good sources. And nobody's going to come after me over that because that would require them doing the research into remembering what footnote it was. And so if you do that, I'll just pay you to find all my footnotes. But who could even do that? I don't even know where I got it. I mean, some of these were written in, when I was in the library, the basement of the library, being a nerd, grad research assistant, writing papers in the library as I worked. So who knows? By the way, I went to my university library the other day. This was a weird thing that happened. This is I'm convinced this is conspiratorial. And they had removed, okay, so let's get this straight here. I knew that section very well. Okay, because I would go into the basement of the university library a lot. I spent many years at that university. I spent 2 or 3 semesters, I don't remember how long, working in the library as a research assistant. And so I knew the philosophy comparative religion, theology, history sections very well. And I noticed going down there that, hey, wait a minute, it looks like they've cleaned out about 50% of their books, especially in those sections. What? Why would it? Now, I understand how libraries work. I know that libraries sometimes get rid of materials because they're seen to be outdated or whatever. But wait a minute. So you're telling me that the theology and philosophy sections, which used to have quite a few Orthodox books, they had the entire Church Fathers Catholic University of America set, which is very expensive, tons of volumes, okay, gone. And so the Orthodox section was reduced to about this many books, okay. Catholic section, about one shelf. There's some other stupid Protestant commentaries, but like, whoa, dude, like they just like tanked. Okay, and this is like a super libtard university, right? Like crazy. We got like literal commies on campus type of university, faculty. And I noticed right next to that, I'm not joking, is the Marxism and Sociology, Psychology section. None of those were gone. In fact, it was like beefed up, like gigantic, just Marxist, social theory, Frankfurt School, socialism, socialization, social studies, blah, blah, blah. I mean, it was wild, dude. That's crazy. I mean, but I'm not surprised because, I mean, these universities are just demonic, dude. But you know what that reminds me of? It reminds me of the Day tapes, right? Dr. Day, New Order of the Barbarians, because in that he says from the meeting that he was at the Rockefeller Foundation planned P-hood meeting back in the 60s, he was in this meeting and then divulged what they said, that's all legit. That's been proven to be true. He said back then that they would have a coordinated campaign to remove books from libraries for the next several decades. And so, dude, we're going into dystopia, man. I mean, first of all, nobody checks out the books anyway, but to go down to the library and to see like all of the theology and philosophy basically compacted down to nothing and gone, dude, that's creepy. That's creepy, right? That's Fahrenheit 451. Exactly. Dude, books are probably going to be worth a lot in the future. I mean, you already go to a big city and the bookstores are gone. Okay, Nashville used to have 10 used bookstores and 10 like corporate bookstores. I mean, there's like 2 used bookstores, 2 corporate bookstores. So that's like 20. So 15 years ago there was 20 probably. And now we're down to 2. That's like an 80% decrease in bookstores. And can you imagine chunking out an entire... I mean, there's no telling what they probably threw it away, dude. I'm serious. They probably threw it in the trash. I mean, there's no telling what that Church Father set was worth. Probably thousands of dollars, at least. I mean, just to buy the volumes would be thousands of dollars. But libraries, I mean, they'll go through, public libraries, university libraries, they'll go through and like clear out like that, and they'll just throw it in the trash. That's crazy. Can you believe that? I mean, I go to book sales all the time. I have for years, just books all the time, right? I have found unbelievable books just thrown away. Entire sets that libraries will just throw out in the trash. Go out back and go, why are you throwing this away? And just the idiot commies that basically run all those facilities, they're gone, dude. And by the way, I'm not joking when you guys know that I often talk about how the commie threat is exaggerated. No. In the university sphere and in the public library sphere and in public schools, there's real commies there, like idiots that literally still believe the commie thing. Okay, that's the only place to find communists nowadays, actual quote communists, is in those arenas, like public librarians, public school teachers, and university libraries and university professors. That's really nobody else is actually a Marxist except for the people in those places. That's it. That's the only real Marxists left. The rest of what's out there is like, I don't even know what it is. Like, I don't know what to call, the normal left thing, leftist, whatever you want to call it. It's something else. It's like a morphed into. It's like postmodernism, which is not liberal, right? Liberalism is not the same thing as postmodernism. Liberalism is tied to the ideas of the Enlightenment. Marxism, classical Marxism, is anti-liberal. It's not liberal. However, some Marxists and Frankfurt School Marxists, which is a different variation of Marxism, some of them have leftist politics, and there's commonalities with some of that to postmodernism in terms of oppression narratives, right? But classical Marxism really doesn't exist outside of some of these limited spaces of university professors and, stank ass old women that run libraries. Okay. Or like a public school teacher. Now these purple-haired people running around, purple-haired people eater, the sort of crazed, they're not really Marxists. They might call themselves Marxists, but that doesn't really have anything to do with like classical Marxism. They're just brainwashed into thinking that, whatever is told, whatever the controlled left establishment tells them is counter establishment. That's the only reason they're that. That's it. But that's not really classical Marxism. Because most of what they talk about, Marx didn't believe any of that, right? I mean, the Soviet Party, they didn't believe and advocate the like postmodern purple hair freak stuff. I mean, it's weird to me people don't get this. Postmodernism was allied with the CIA. The CIA recruited postmodernists in the Cold War. So liberalism is not Marxism. I don't know why people can't figure this out. It's not even that hard to understand. Soviets were not liberals. The West is liberal. Western democracy, economic liberalism, free markets, that is not Marxism, Sovietism, or Marxism, socialism. So different things. And by the way, I'm not saying that socialism is good. I'm not a socialist, I'm not a Marxist, I'm not into any of those things, right? But I'm trying to explain to you that the only place that you will find actual classical Marxists is in the universities. And a lot of people who think they're calling themselves Marxists and they don't even know anything about it. They're just trying to be edgelords and be, different or whatever. These people haven't ever read Karl Marx. They've never had classes on the Frankfurt School and this kind of stuff, right? But I did. I had Frank systolic succession. So I studied under people who studied under the Frankfurt School people. So, so my university had an interesting inroad to Frankfurt School people. Okay, so that's how I know about the Marxist stuff. Not because I'm a Marxist, right? I'm not a KGB sorcerer. But how do we get onto all that? Anyway, so I was just giving a story about the purging of the library's books, which I thought was both surprising and not surprising at the same time. So so we get into Dialectics, I go into that. I rely in some of these. I rely quite a bit on Dr. Philip Sherrard, not because I agree with everything he says. I think he has some pretty mistaken views, especially later on. But in many ways, he's very insightful. So, and you'll notice here in this essay, okay, so we had two citations and 6 that were saved. Next, I get into creation, how we understand creation, philosophy of creation. And these essays do function as, decent critiques of Darwinian philosophy that I thought still held up. I thought they were still very relevant. I pull from both Dr. Sherrard, from Titus Bruckhardt, from, even things like Genesis, creation, early man, some of the argumentation there. Again, not as a scientific critique of Darwinism's claims or neo-Darwinism, whatever terms you want to use, because I'm not trained in science or biology. Those are not my fields. However, I do have the ability as a philosopher to do a philosophical critique of where Darwinism oversteps its bounds in terms of a theory and the limitations of it being a theory into the domain of metaphysics, which it does quite often. And it becomes a grand narrative going way beyond the bounds of a supposed theory. So I go into pretty decent, I thought that still held up very well, critiques of their approach to the natural world, the assumptions of materialism. So again, guys, if you want to understand what this book is, and by the way, the link for the book is also, I think, in the show description too. The pre-order, it just says pre-orders because, it's there in the show description because I have not got them yet. So they should be here any day now. I don't know how the British people are getting the books before I do, but that's why it says pre-orders. It's been at the printer for several days now, and I should be getting the copies anytime now. So there's the pre-orders link to get the signed copies from the website. If you put in your order for the signed copies, you'll get those first, right? And hopefully the books will arrive soon enough, and everybody will get their books before the speaking event. So I will have books available at the event. If you don't get yours in the mail and you want to get them signed, of course you can bring them to the event. Of course you can get them signed at the event. Yes. But if you want it sooner, because they could be here any day now, and Jamie and I can start mailing out, people that have already got their pre-orders in as soon as they get here. So, it's really just depending on how soon they get here from the printer, which, as we said, should be any day now. So next we get into a little bit of an epistemic critique, right? I do an epistemology critique of some of the presuppositions of scientism. Some of you may have seen this old article. We have so many new readers over the years that I think over the last couple of years, the audience has gone from, when I was writing these essays and whatnot, it was probably, I probably had 10,000 followers back then. So, these essays are they're evergreen because of the subject matter, and they function as an introduction to philosophical thinking. So that's what I'm billing this as, an educated person's introduction to philosophical thinking. And so here we do a good essay critiquing the materialist epistemology or the scientism epistemology. Some of you guys have seen this one because this is one of my first essays that went viral, and that's how I kind of knew that this was a good essay and that people would read this. It should be published. And as long as things are in electronic form, one thing I realized from when the website got deleted by WordPress was that it's not safe anywhere until it's physical copy, right? And I know about Fahrenheit 451. Okay, that's why you see I don't do Kindle. You guys want Kindle? You want to buy yeah, that's fine. And yes, I understand the logic of blockchain, and you can have a book on blockchain and it's evergreen, it'll never go away. I agree with that, but I also like actual physical books, and I will always, right? and I will never get rid of them. I'm like Jean-Luc Picard, right? Jean-Luc Picard, even in the year 2500, when everything is fake and gray, still has books, right? And so here we had, so the reason this went viral was because about 10 years ago, and by viral, I mean in the sense of blog viral, right? So somebody posted this on Reddit 10 years ago, right? Before Reddit was terrible. And this got like 20 or 30,000 views, which for a long ass essay is crazy. But somehow this got posted on Reddit philosophy, and it just kind of went blog viral. And I thought, well, that really needs, that's a good essay. It needs to be, and it's really looking at three great philosophers' critique of the Enlightenment. I look at Kierkegaard, I look at Dostoevsky, and I look at Nietzsche's critique of the Enlightenment. Doesn't mean I agree with everything that Kierkegaard said. Doesn't mean I agree with everything Nietzsche said. Okay. Agree with probably most of what Dostoevsky said, but they were continental philosophers who criticized the excesses and absurdities of the Enlightenment, and so in that regard, they are also evergreen. They're amazing. They're really great for that. Those are some of the best aspects of Nietzsche and Kierkegaard, are their critique of rationalism, their critique of the stupid nonsense of the Enlightenment. Doesn't mean we have to throw the baby out of the bathwater. Doesn't mean that everything the Enlightenment said was wrong or false. But really, philosophy is usually the pendulum swing to extremes, and then the next generation kind of critiquing the guys before them to try to bring the pendulum back to some notion of harmony or normality or sensibility. That's kind of what the process of the conversation of philosophy over the centuries is about, is that. This generation critiquing the previous guys to try to get a better picture. Doesn't mean everybody's good at it or right. Some people try to fix it by creating their own crazy system, and they're kooks, quacks, nutballs, right? But most philosophers have some insight in some area, right? And so, this essay was proved to be more popular than I would have expected for what it is. And thankfully, all of the footnotes in that one made it into here. This one's a little weird. I get kind of out there in this one. This one gets a little speculative. And looking at this title, it's kind of cringy. But I was like, you know what? That was my thought process in my 20s. I mean, and who isn't cringy in their 20s, right? So I was like, just leave it. So what I do here is I get into some of the weird metaphysics that I was reading about at the time, and esoteric stuff as it relates to Egyptian theology. And the reason that we want to understand this, again, is that even though, as you guys know, I'm a critic of natural theology, in a weird way, this book kind of functions as an introduction to philosophy and philosophical thinking by doing a little bit of comparative religion. And so we can look at Egyptian thought, Egyptian philosophy, and the esoteric thought of Egypt. And we can find elements of overlap. As you guys know, Seraphim Hamilton, our good buddy, he's done a few talks on this, actually, where he talks about the Memphite creation narrative and the parallels with Genesis, okay? There's reason for that. The reason for that, of course, is the logos spermatikos, the fact that there's truth everywhere. And so, I was pulling from stuff. This one was probably written about 6 years ago because I hackered, citing an obscure Russian girl who writes Russian cosmism science fiction. And so, she utilized a bunch of perennialists and Gnon to write her science fiction novels. She's not very well known. She's very reclusive. We tried to do an interview with her one time, but she wouldn't do it. But anyway, so, I kind of point out that, well, you have some interesting insights into the Logi. I go into some critiques of the West and Popper here. I get into some of the even bizarre symbolism, citing her. Her name is Natalia Irtanina. And I remember reading her essays at the time, and I thought she had some really fascinating insights into symbolism and the occult and, different stuff. Nothing in this book is promoting the occult. It's not a promotion of it. But I get into just the symbolism of different, the meaning of different symbols as it relates to energy. So, for example, binary I-O, IAO, right? Some of the esoteric groups and cults have made a big deal about this. And so I go deep into that. Here I cite Losky at the end, again, to try to overcome the idea of dualism, because what you get in a lot of the pagan philosophies, especially with something like Egyptian philosophy, which is pantheistic or panentheistic in their approach to theology. I found that great quote that Losky cites from St. Maximus very appropriate to point out that the triad surpasses the dyad. And so many pagan philosophies are caught up in a monistic philosophy of everything as one, pantheism, panentheism, or a dualistic philosophy of everything is made up of two things, right? Creation or physicality and ideas, or mind and body, or just any kind of a dialectical dualistic philosophy. And so, as you can see, even though this is not a theology book, it's a book that takes these kinds of ideas and principles relating to the religious philosophy of the world, or the world religions, and points out that what they're lacking is found in our position, right? So again, as you can see, it's not primarily a book about theology, even though it touches on those things. But you guys, I think, will be familiar with this if you've read my Hollywood books, because even in those, we went into philosophy in quite a few of those Hollywood film analyses, right? So it looks like at least 4 of the 7 footnotes in that made it. Here's an old one that we did that I thought was really good for, again, introducing the idea of philosophical thinking beyond materialism. And, this comes up so often, especially with atheist debates. As you guys know, when we do the public call-in debates, almost every time an atheist comes on or calls in, it's this, right? So chapter 8 is basically that. Me laying out not Platonism, but how Platonic arguments and ideas can help us see beyond the trap, the box, the limitations of materialism. And so I thought that essay holds up. It's there's nothing wrong with that essay. A couple of these essays, by the way, as you guys know, I wrote back. I have changed some of my mind and ideas about some of my. I have changed my mind on some of the ideas and some of the things I wrote back in my 20s and 30s. But most of what's in these essays is not. I mean, the overall argument I still would agree with. But I was tempted with either trying to alter the original essays or leave them as they are, and then later, maybe at the end of my life, I'll have to write a retraction, or I don't know. But I just left it as it is because the overall argument holds, even though I'm sure there's things I've learned since my 20s that I would tweak. But here we go into the notion of number theory, symbol, and the one in the many, basically. Not in depth, but in an introductory way. So, as if you've read the Phaedo, you'll know that a lot of these kinds of points are brought up in the Phaedo. We get discussions of universals. We get notions of, even the allegory of the cave comes up there as well. We get discussions of higher dimensions in the Phaedo. We get discussions about realism as opposed to nominalism. Now, Plato didn't know about nominalism. He wasn't confronting nominalism, but he engages with certain arguments and philosophers who could be, their arguments would apply in the same way as nominalist or empiricist types of arguments would work. For sophists, for example, right? So we'll find relevant argumentation that Plato does against those kinds of positions. For example, there's a great refutation of a kind of naive empiricism pretty early on, but if you have who did this? Edith Hamilton and Huntington Cairns Plato text. This is page 79, where you have a really good critique of empiricism. So I kind of pull from a lot of that in this essay to give what I see as, really hard-hitting critiques of materialism. I did find that lost blog post, not from me, but that you've heard me mention. I mentioned it on Twitter a couple weeks ago. I don't even know if the footnote to this blog made it into here. Let's see if it made it. This would have been footnote 3. That doesn't seem right. That's not right. I don't know how this, most of the footnotes made it into this, which is amazing. I did kind of cite a few of the sort of modern normie people who write about dimensions. I cite Brian Greene and Lisa Randall. Anyway, so this that blog is still mysteriously gone, but I did find, so this is actually preserved here. I can't believe that I had forgotten that I put this in an essay. So, as you guys have heard me say, Gödel discovered that there was a conspiracy to suppress arguments and ideas that Platonic philosophers had noticed. According to him, it was arguments and discoveries by Leibniz and Husserl. Husserl's not exactly a Platonist, but he's more influenced in that domain, I guess you could say, in that way of thinking. And this ties into Gödel's discovery of what the Royal Society and Bertrand Russell were up to. So basically, Kurt Gödel discovered the stuff that you hear me talk about, just like Tolkien and Lewis did, as we've proven. And so an obscure academic blog posted on this, and they found this. And not only that, some of the commenters who were students of these found in the archive papers other references to this conspiracy on the part of the Vienna Circle, logical positivist materialists, to suppress real philosophy and argumentation. Look at this. This is amazing. In a footnote from the book On the Philosophical Development of Kurt Gödel by Mark Van Arten and Juliet Kennedy, page 452 to 453, after quoting Gödel talking about a manuscript of Husserl that had been removed from published record. So Gödel found out the very thing that Dr. Day says they would do: hide, remove, and suppress and unpublish papers and materials. In fact, some of these manuscripts disappeared, especially some of Leibniz's work, dismissed as symptoms of possible mental instability. So they were calling Gödel crazy for saying this, when in fact Gödel was completely correct. And by way of proof, he pointed to Sue Toledo. So we have another case of Gödel's allegations of important works of philosophy being removed and evidence of his meticulous research abilities. Well, of course, because, I mean, number one, this is not even hard to verify, because Bertrand Russell says in his books that when the dystopia comes into power, you won't read Shakespeare. You won't read philosophy. I'm not joking. He actually says that. He says, you're not going to be reading these things. You're not going to have Bibles to read. You won't have any of that. You will be a slave. Gödel discovered what they were up to, and he couldn't believe it. And people in their day, imagine knowing what we know now, us, in the 20s, 30s, 40s, like Tolkien and Lewis did. Dude, nobody would believe you. People today can't believe it. Imagine knowing all this back then. Wow. But to be clear, perhaps the greatest logician of all his time, Kurt Gödel uncovered the existence of, do you see this? A worldwide conspiracy to make men less intelligent. Do you see that? Do you think the great genius mathematician logician, with his 2 proofs that refute the stupidity of Bertrand Russell, I guarantee you that it's because of it's his interactions with Russell and what the Royal Society was up to. He saw this. He said, what? This is crazy. He's talking about Russell, I guarantee you. For years, Gödel had been, actually, he's talking about the Vienna Circle, but that's the same crew anyway. I mean, Bertrand Russell had the same philosophy as those demons, basically. Now, keep in mind, this does not mean that Platonism is the solution to everything. This does not mean, we just all need to be Neoplatonists. And if we all read Leibniz and Gödel, no. But these people understood that materialism, Vienna Circle positivism, was even worse. Anglo-empiricism. That it was being engineered as part of do you see this, worldwide conspiracy to make men less intelligent. And so they unpublished, censored, and tried to get rid of Leibniz works. Whoa. That's wild, dude. And this is exactly, look, this gets even crazier. Gödel suggested that the Viennese Academy of Science, Vienna Circle goobers, the Vienna Circle demons, officially inaugurated a mid-19th century, had in fact been founded by Leibniz. In secret some centuries before, its record books, which contain references to the complete Characteristica Universalis, have been systematically destroyed. This is wild. Let me just go back and read this whole thing. The greatest logician of all time, Kurt Gödel, uncovered the existence of a worldwide conspiracy to make men less intelligent. We know about that. For years, Gödel had been interested in the work of Leibniz, whose Characteristica Universalis influenced Gödel's use of symbolism in his famous incompleteness proofs, and went so far as to request copies of the voluminous Leibniz manuscripts to be brought to the United States during the Second World War. Gödel initially claimed to have discovered evidence of a conspiracy to suppress Leibniz's work. That's nuts. Leibniz had in fact completed the famously unfinished and unfinishable universal language of thought, but had been prevented from publishing it. In conversation, Gödel suggested that the Viennese Academy of Science, officially inaugurated in the mid-19th century, had in fact been founded by Leibniz in secret some centuries before. Its record books, which contain references to the complete Characteristica Universalis, have been destroyed. So there you can see, right, academic reference to suppression of even philosophical argumentation in manuscripts. Now you say, well, that's crazy. Why would they do that? That doesn't exist. Oh, really? Really? So even though he's arguing against Bertrand Russell, Gödel did, and he's saying that he's realizing that Bertrand Russell's into this stuff, right? Even though Bertrand Russell says we will censor and destroy these manuscripts because you will not read them in the dystopia. And the Dr. Day tapes say they will do that very thing. In the 60s, they had said. Now, Bertrand Russell said it way before the 60s, but that was a U.S. meeting, the Rockefeller Foundation meeting, in the late 60s, saying, we will go into the libraries of the universities, public libraries, and we will systematically remove books. So, I mean, you understand that the people who run our society are beyond anything of the previous centuries of censorship, dictatorship, tyranny. I mean, it's like, it's a level that is hard to even conceive. And that's why a lot of people have a hard time accepting it, is that they can't conceive that people would go that far and have that extreme of a view. But I assure you, they are that evil. This is why the O'Brien character is the way he is. And do you not remember Mustafa Mond? Why do you think Huxley has Mustafa Mond doing that very thing? Mustafa Mond says, of course there are papers that prove materialism isn't true. Of course there are science papers that show that metaphysical things are true. And he says, of course we delete them and destroy them. And John Savage is like, what? Why would you do that? Don't you want to teach the people the truth? And he says, of course not. What do you think we are? Right? He's much like the O'Brien character. I mean, O'Brien's even more extreme than Mustafa Mon, but I mean, well, the goal is not to teach you truth. The goal is to destroy you. The goal is to get rid of you, not to give you truth. The goal is to put a boot on your face forever. And so it's talking about the people like Russell and so forth, whom Gödel discovered was doing the exact same things that Gödel said he was going to do. Anyway, so here we get into the idea of what it is to create AI and what is a golem. And I go into a little bit of John Dee and Edward Kelly and their idea of causing inanimate matter to become alive. Right? This is what the AI is going to evolve, dude. Like it's gonna, what did we see this last week? A Google engineer comes out to say that the AI is alive and it has the pettiness of a 8-year-old child. I mean, who believes this? Come on, dude. Really? So it's a magical worldview, ironically, that believes that machines and algorithms can somehow become conscious. Oh, it'll just spring it. It'll just happen, dude. Life just out of nowhere, it becomes alive. It's alive. Really? Okay, that's called magical thinking. You think that a machine that is a bunch of binary code, an algorithm, evolves to become alive. Okay, that's science fiction, dummy. That's not reality. Okay, life doesn't come out of nothing. You don't become sentient. And all of those scam people do, which we've seen many times, the scammers, they'll just redefine what sentience and being alive is so that it encompasses a computer. I'm not joking. That's how dumb it is. They'll say, oh, well, you're just a meat sack that's a programmed meat machine. And so the only difference is that, the computer is a solid piece of metal and software and microchips, right? And so so you see they're both alive because it's a machine, electricity is going into it. You're a meat machine, you have electricity in your body, so neurons firing, so that you see it's the same. I'm not joking. That's how dumb it is. So they just redefine the words. But now, does anybody find that hard to believe, given that we're accepting the idea that you can say you're anything? Because words don't mean anything. You give them meaning. Magical thinking. And even Terence McKenna got it correct and understood that postmodernism is magical thinking. I'm not a huge fan of
Terence McKenna, but one thing he was perceptive enough to notice was that postmodernism arises actually from magical thinking.
Yeah, exactly. He says that in Food of the Gods. This one is a little more speculative. We get into speculating about creation, energy and creation. So I try to draw some arguments out of that in terms of logi, in terms of understanding that reality is actually structured. So I try to pull from Platonic solids, utilizing the structure in nature to show design. Again, not making a basic bitch teleological argument, but rather just pointing out some very basic ideas to introduce people to the idea of teleology, to introduce people to the idea of the logi. Through some modern philosophers, through some of the ideas of Leibniz, through some of the ideas of even people like Wolfgang Pauli, right? Who argued that reality, like Plato, was structured and organized at a very fundamental level. So here we go into more of a critique of Darwinism in a sociological, religious way, right? I argue that Darwinism is a religion. It operates like a religion. Here I go into more of an in-depth critique of the claims of Darwinism itself. Make quite a few creation arguments in this essay. Get into some Palamos. I get into some of the Jesuits that were big promoters of evolutionary theory, some of the more scientific biological problems. Again, unfortunately, don't know why this one just didn't make it. It didn't make it through the deletion process. So again, another sort of esoteric minded essay here. We get into cryptography, the cryptocracy. I get into so this follows along with some of the previous arguments about AI, about binary code, about creation and reality existing in different levels and in different, that there's different types of things that exist. And so when we have like a materialist view, for example, it's very hard to explain what a mind is, okay? Because a mind is not the same thing as a brain. Brain is the gray matter, the physical brain, but a mind is not equivalent to that. And if we do a reductionist move to equate the two, we're immediately into some very difficult and destructive philosophical positions. So I try to outline that in these essays. Get into some older, this essay is a little weird, as I said, because I get into like, I had found this Egyptologist dude who was like super into Egyptology. I don't know this guy. He's like, I think he's a Nordic dude, but his name is Wim van den Dungen. And he has this whole just super elaborate Egyptology website. I mean, I think he's a legit Egyptian scholar. And so I went into a lot of his symbolism and esoteric ideas, and I noticed quite a few fascinating things about number symbolism. So that's what that paper's about. And it's about energy, how energy works, reality as energy. I don't know why I was bringing in Jeremiah here, but something about Jeremiah in this. But also get into cryptography in regards to how it's used in history and ciphers, right? Classical ciphers, and how this gets into symbology is what gives us the modern world. Right? Mastering the symbols is what produces computers, for example, right? So we get Leibniz becomes very important in the rise of the computer. And so I go into some of the fascinating insights where Leibniz was way ahead of his time, and he foresaw the possibility of, through his sort of Platonic view, his Neoplatonic view of reality, to be able to come up with the idea of a machine that mimics the human mind. And ultimately it becomes a computer, right? Maybe originally it's a calculator, but it becomes what would be a computer. So Leibniz is actually important in the rise of computers and computation machines. But a lot of people don't know that he relied on some really metaphysical Greek ideas, right? Like he goes into the entelechy. I mean, that's from Aristotle. So he's like going into some straight up Greek metaphysical type of stuff. And as we saw earlier, remember, according to Gödel, quite a few of the elite establishment philosophers wanted to utilize the principles from Leibniz and then shut that down, right? And who is everybody told is the great founder of calculus, the greatest philosopher of the West? Isaac Newton, right? The creepy INCEL Newton. I'm not joking. Newton was legit a weirdo INCEL. But wasn't the real discoverer Leibniz? I think so. So Leibniz is better than Newton. Okay, let's just get that out of the way. But we're actually given this narrative that we're supposed to follow these Anglo and proto-Anglo empiricists like Paolo Sarpi. I had forgotten that Sarpi, the Venetian agent provocateur intelligence philosopher, I'm not joking, he was like this crazy. We covered this in my occult spies talk on Rockfin. I forgot that he was like Francis Bacon before Francis Bacon. Like he was talking about straight up empiricism before any of them. And so this is what, people, I'm not a huge fan of Tarpley, but Tarpley makes an interesting argument that no, Paolo Sarpi was a Venetian and then British imperial type of agent, right? And the Venetians are prior to that. But in other words, the philosophy that the British Empire adopts is the Paolo Sarpi philosophy of empirico-criticalism, or radical naive empiricism. And so he makes a fascinating... Anyway, so that's kind of what I'm talking about in this. And I talk about how cryptography and the NSA, and even they cite Leibniz and stuff, right? I cite the Paul Davies book, Mind of God. That's kind of a classic. Even James Bamford here. This one was a great essay that I wrote many years ago about the synthetic a priori problem in human Kant. That's kind of a difficult essay, which it does require a little bit of philosophical knowledge to kind of work your way through this one. But again, I think this book is intended, again, to introduce this kind of thinking, these ideas to people who, for the most part, either don't know anything about philosophy in the West, or have been introduced to just this really horrible, just garbage juice philosophy of empiricism and materialism. And I mean, it's just garbage, dude. All of that. It's just the worst. And that's what everybody's brainwashed into. Here we go, fairly in depth into Horkheimer, Adorno, and Frankfurt School through Dialectic of Enlightenment. Thankfully, and then I get into some Habermas as well. Glad that paper made it. Here we get into a book that, again, people seem to not know what I was talking about when I mentioned this book. Like, I was wrong. Like, as if I was mixing up Machiavelli and Sun Tzu. No, I'm sorry. Machiavelli wrote a book called Art of War. And it's the book that kicks off modern warfare. So this book is the end of ancient and medieval warfare and the beginning of modern warfare. All modern warfare begins from the period of Machiavelli's Art of War. And there's some fascinating insights into this, particularly book 6, where he goes into quite a bit of depth. Or is it book 5? It's either book 5 or book 6. Maybe book 5 and 6. It's mainly 6. I'm right. Where we get a lot of skullduggery, trickery, fake flags, religious engineering, all of that right here, way before most people would think about it. This was written in 1521. So here you have a book from 1521 going into great depth, covering propaganda, psyops, tricks, religious engineering, fake flags, divide and conquer strategies, forged letters, espionage, counter-espionage, everything that you could think of. And I point out that, again, why is this relevant? Because the way that the modern world functions, especially even in things like warfare, couldn't happen without fundamental revolutions in every area of life, particularly not just the Enlightenment, but I mean, even in the domain of warfare. I mean, warfare undergoes revolution to the extent that things that might, for example, in a Christian perspective, for example, we would want to have limitations and laws applicable to warfare. And what's revolutionary here is that this is kind of like moving past that and accepting dishonorable practices as normative. And so, in other words, it sets the stage for how we can get into a world, 500 years later, where everything that Machiavelli speaks of that's kind of revolutionary. Now, granted, warfare has always used trickery, I understand that. But, I mean, this is modern warfare, right? And fundamental to what he says is this just unscrupulous usage of deception and trickery. And I understand deception and trickery have always existed in war. I understand it. But I think what's going on here is that now with the Enlightenment, we kind of have like the idea. I mean, this is not exactly the Enlightenment, but it's sort of in this revolution, this time period when the Enlightenment is beginning to sort of flourish. You're going to get the Protestant Revolution right around the same time. And so a lot of changes are happening, especially in Europe, and we're getting the idea of let's toss out a lot of these limitations of biblical law and Christian theology, and let's adopt principles and practices that are not bound by anything to do with God and morals, especially when it comes to warfare. And in other words, that then allows us to enter into a modern world where fake flags are the norm to a heavy degree. So you can begin to see how this book then is an attempt to cover a range of topics, a wide array of issues that hopefully can open the mind of a decently educated person to begin to think in a philosophical way, to reason in a philosophical way, to be introduced to what we're looking at when we're talking about metaphysics. What are we looking at when we're looking at decoding symbols? How do we get from the tossing out of metaphysics to the modern, postmodern anti-metaphysics of warfare and geopolitics? That's what that last essay is about. And yes, thank you for mentioning game theory. I think I have a section, I can't remember if it made it into this book or not, but I do have a thing about game theory, and it may have made it into this book. But there you go. Hopefully you guys enjoy the overview. What I said to you guys tonight is not what I'm going to present at the event. Again, you can sign up for the event. It will be an all-day event with me. Jamie will be presenting from her books as well. Here is the event in Nashville. It will be July 30th. It's a Saturday, 4 to 10 p.m. You can come whenever you want to. First hour will be kind of jokey, having fun. Second hour will be Jamie giving her presentation and taking some questions. We'll probably break to have dinner. I'm not providing you dinner. You are on your own to find your dinner. You're not going to get free honey buns. But we're not in a super busy area of Nashville, so hopefully it'll be, it won't be too difficult. If we were in like smack dab downtown Nashville, it would be a nightmare to go find dinner and get everybody back to the event. So that would be really difficult. So again, we're a little bit north of Nashville, so I think it'll be easier to eat and then come back. Then we will have the presentation about the book, more specific, more in depth. I might go for an hour and a half, just depends on my energy level, how I'm feeling. Then we'll have open forum. You guys can ask me any questions. You guys can debate me. You guys can bring the challenges. Protestants, evangelicals, Roman Catholics, you guys can come, ask your questions, whatever you want to do. You can also do AMA. We'll have an AMA and a Q&A. Then we'll have the book signing, and then we'll be done. So it'll be a fun event. I guarantee you that. So go ahead and sign up at the Eventbrite link. Invite your friends if you want to. Again, especially if you're in the Nashville area, tell your friends to come out. It's gonna be a riot. It's gonna be a wild event, not a literal riot. People freaking out. It's a joke. Let's see super chats. We had whole milk. Is it possible to create a Christian community without becoming insalubrious? I'll be honest with you, I don't know what insalubrious is, but I imagine you mean something weird and creepy. Actually, go onto Twitter and my godfather, Dean Arnold. You can find Dean Arnold on there. He is, wanting to kind of set up something like that. So, not a cult, but people who want to live kind of in the country and not be attached to the city, preferably Orthodox, but doesn't have to be. So you can go reach out to Dean Arnold about that. DJ Harry Love, $1. I noticed that you can hear me. You can hear the YouTube video that you're watching. You might want to check on the app Loopback. Well, it just has to do with whether I can turn on the program at the right time. Sometimes I forget. And then you said you use audio. I have audio hijack, but that's for audio. So this is a little different for Mac and You have to get a thing that works for Mac. But thank you for that. Stormcat, $5. Unpack this. Yeah, that dude was a riot. Pablo, $5. What's up, Jay? Big fan. Thank you for all your hard work. Well, thank you, Pablo. And again, if you're in the Nashville area, by the way, I think we're gonna have a lot of people traveling from other places. You're welcome to do that. Usually pretty easy to find a hotel in Nashville. So if you guys do want to come in and stay for the weekend, come to the Orthodox Church. That's also a possibility as well. I'm not going to tell everybody publicly where I go to church, but if you're there at the event and you want to come to church on a Sunday, we should be able to do that. So that's also an option too. If a person wants to stay, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or Saturday, Sunday, however you want to do it. Zoned, $10. Big fan. I might be banned, but I'm asking to appeal that. Banned from my YouTube channel. I meme too hard. I don't know, man. I don't know. I do throw down the ban hammer, so you could be, but I don't know. Will there be some Pay Piggy live action at the event? Yes. So I will probably try to, in a joking way, play and perform some of these goofy songs. I mean, we've got an hour of fun the first hour, so yeah. Benny Shreds, $5. Thank you, Jay. You have changed the lives of thousands. Well, thank you. Appreciate that. That's a blessing in terms of, God's grace. So glory to God for that. But Clobber Milk, $5. Jay, how are you? Great. I need to read your books. Okay, well, you can get them at the website. I look forward to purchasing them in the future. Be sure and get them from the website, not Jeffrey Bezos. In addition, do you think that a Christian cartoon would be popular? I guess VeggieTales is pretty popular, so, what does that tell you? But I don't know anything about cartoons, bro, but maybe you're a cartoonist. I don't know. God bless you and Jamie. Thank you much. Nathan, $5. He says nothing. That's okay, though. Thank you, Nathan. Clabbered Milk, $3. Jay, I am a Christian. However, I believe that crystals have power. Okay, well, a lot of created things have power in them. A dang eel has power in it, right? I saw a video of a alligator biting an eel, and he found out the power that an eel has. So the fact that a crystal has power doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean you're pagan. But if you're trying to worship crystals or something like that, that's dumb. But no, I don't think that's a big deal. Genghis Khan, $10. I don't know what. Crystals have like an electric current in them, and there's a whole field of Christology. Okay, but I don't know much about it beyond that. Genghis Khan, $10. Thank you so much. Real Cooter Brown, can we get a Liam or a Noel Gallagher impersonation? I think I can do a decent Liam. Hold on, don't be scared. What do you think of that? Your destiny may keep you warm. Stop crying your heart out. I'm gonna cough my heart out trying to sing Liam. Woo! I hope I earned that $15 right there. $5. Congratulations on the book. I hope you come to Texas. Well, hey, if this event is successful, then we'll try to organize more events. Obviously, the best places would be Hollywood, which I've done talks there before. Had a great time doing that many years ago. Austin, Texas. We've done a few talks and meetups in Austin. My first talk, right? Secret Space Program Conference. Remember that classic? That was Bastrop outside of Austin, so that was a classic. Florida would be an obvious venue, and then we might have a DC event because I'm going to meet some individuals in DC in the near future as well. So I might try to do that. But yeah, if this goes well, we'll try to set that up. But it's a lot to hire. You got to hire private security. You got to hire all kinds of. It's a big. It's more than I thought to arrange events. It's like a huge ordeal. Follow on $5. Congratulations. Oh, you asked that. Houston area, maybe. Austin would be better than Houston, but we did have a meetup in Houston 2 years ago. J Mel, $10. How do I live stream or PayPal the pay-per-view the event? Yeah, see, I don't want to record it because I want to be able to do a live thing that isn't seen by everybody on the YouTube, and then there's no reason for people to come to the event. So I'm not going to live stream it because I want to have new material, new content for people who come to the live event, right? If you live stream it, then there's no point. We're going to watch $5. Thank you for your stream. You're helping me so much. I'm a Rocore catechumen. That's awesome. My son is struggling with philosophy class. Well, hopefully he'll find this useful. Again, it does require a little bit of knowledge of the topics. Frankie D, $5. Hit multiple streams today. You did? Jay, you're giving us Bayes philosophical training. Cool. Can we buy signed copies of your book online? Every copy of any book from my website is signed. So yes. People ask me this question every day. I'm not fussing at you. It's just every day I get this question. Any book you order from the website, the whole purpose of buying it from the website is because I sign it. So that's how I make money, right? People who buy the books on Amazon, I don't make any money from that. So yes, but thank you. Levi, $20. Robert Sepahur is an anthropologist on YouTube. He has a lot of videos on occult history. I've heard this name. I don't know anything about him. He has covered a supposedly earliest known writing of Matthew. It has Jesus praying to the pagan god Helios. Okay, yeah, I already don't believe that, but I will look at Robert Sepahur. So, but thank you for that $20, but I'll be very skeptical of that. I don't think that's true. Greek Groiper, $3. You should go to an eye specialist and get blue light. I have blue light glasses. But yeah, maybe. You need the ones prescribed by the doctor. Every time you look at the screen, your eyes look exhausted. Well, I'm exhausted today because I had a whole bunch of stuff to do. And yeah, I stare at screens all day because that's my job. So you're probably right. Clobbered Milk, $2. Jay, I'm familiar with the novel The Craft, or the movie. Yeah, that's a stupid witch bitch movie from the 90s. Of course, I've seen that. In the movie, one of the actors talks about Manon. I assume you mean Manson. Explaining that God and Satan are playing football, but Manon is the sun shining down. I don't know. Mammon or Manon? I don't know what that means. Is that the process relational pantheism? I don't know. I haven't seen that movie in many years, so I couldn't say. But maybe we'll watch that and make fun of it. So again, if you guys want to come to the event, if you would hit like and share. Here's the link for the event right there. Come check it out. It's going to be fun. Okay, now it doesn't want to work. Anyway,